People don't bury you with shovels anymore. They bury you with rumors. My ex-husband Darius told the world I was crazy, unstable, obsessed, a deranged ex who couldn't let go. He bragged about his fresh start, his perfect new bride, his happily ever after without me. He forgot one tiny detail. Happily ever afters don't begin when you're still married to the woman you left behind, but lies come easy to a man who confuses freedom with abandonment. He said I imagined our marriage, said the photos were old memories I refused to delete, said my wedding ring was a souvenir from a mistake. He spun his story so well that even my friends questioned my sanity, but I wasn't crazy. I was patient. The wedding invitation wasn't meant for me. He sent it to brag, to show me I'd been replaced. He expected tears. Instead, I sent back a simple message. Thanks for the date and time. I found the perfect dress, not white, not red, black, for the funeral of his lies. And on the day he promised forever to a woman who didn't know she was second. I arrived holding paperwork with both our signatures and a marriage license still active. His bride's bouquet hit the floor before she did, because insanity isn't exposing the truth. Insanity is a man thinking he can marry someone else while I still legally own his last name. This wasn't a wedding, it was a reckoning. Stay with me. You'll want to see how fast a groom runs when his past walks in wearing proof. Darius always had a charming way of lying. He didn't trip over his stories, didn't sweat, didn't blink too long. His lies walked into a room wearing confidence and cologne. The problem wasn't that I believed him. The problem was that everyone else did. It started with little things. He'd say, I never said that, even when I knew he did. He'd roll his eyes. Why are you overreacting? When I wasn't. He'd smile sweetly to others, then whisper, can't you act normal for once? Every disagreement became a diagnosis. Every hurt feeling became your imagination. Every truth I offered became a symptom. Soon, people stopped asking how I was. They started asking if I needed help. His mother once pulled him aside, thinking I couldn't hear. Just be patient with her, she said. You know how unstable women get. Unstable. That word followed me like a shadow he pinned to my name. When he left, he didn't leave like a husband. He left like a surgeon cutting off a limb. Cold, efficient, pretending it was for my good. He told people I broke things, told them I took pills, told them I screamed all night at voices only I could hear. He made me sound like a woman who needed to be locked away instead of loved. Our friends disappeared one by one. They brought casseroles and pity to him. To me, only distance. When the divorce papers didn't come, I asked why. I'll handle it, he said. You're too overwhelmed. You'll thank me one day. I stopped asking. I started watching. Then he changed jobs, changed friends, changed cities, changed wives. No one thought to ask if the previous wife was buried properly. Tessa was the only one who stayed. Loyalty without conditions are rare these days. She sent me the first screenshot, a picture of Darius smiling with a woman whose innocence was written too clearly in her eyes. The wedding is next month, she typed, somewhere fancy. I sat with that image long enough to feel my pulse slow down. There he was, the man who said he never wanted to marry again, the man who escaped a dangerous relationship with a delusional ex. He reinvented himself as a victim while writing me as the villain. But a story is only dangerous until someone reads the fine print. I walked to the drawer where I kept the envelope I told myself never to open again. Inside, our marriage license still valid, his signature still binding, my name still legal. I held the paper like a weapon with no fingerprints. Tessa asked me, "What are you going to do?" I answered softly, "I'm going to let him finish his performance." Darius always did perform well, smiling through lies, acting his way into trust. But every liar reaches a point where the audience demands proof. The wedding invitations went out publicly. White envelopes, gold lettering, and a hashtag for guests to use to celebrate "True love always wins." True love never needed hashtags. I ordered a dress, black as a closed casket. Not a grieving woman's black, a judge's black. I rehearsed nothing. The truth didn't need practice. A week before the wedding, I walked into the county clerk's office. The clerk scanned the license and confirmed what I already knew. Still active, not annulled, not dissolved. She looked up at me, waiting for an explanation. I simply nodded. Just verifying. I made copies. Clean, certified, unquestionable copies. On the day Darius planned to promise a lifetime, he didn't have the right to promise. I arrived early. Quiet. Alone. Guests took pictures at the entrance, capturing memories they assumed belonged to Joy. They complimented Naomi's decor, her dress, her smile, a smile framed by lies she didn't know she stood on. I stood at the back, waiting for the right moment, not a second before, not a second after. As the music swelled and Darius took Naomi's hands in his, a part of me wondered if revenge was worth it, if exposing him would finally erase the madness he branded me with. Then Darius spoke the first vow, "Before you, I was alone in the world." And I remembered I was not being vindictive. I was being factual. The groom was already married. The bride was already betrayed. And the ex-wife they called crazy was the only sane person in the room. I reached inside my handbag and touched the evidence. Cold paper. Sharp truth. Tessa's words echoed in my head. Make sure they see who the liar is. I inhaled once and walked forward. The aisle was long, and Darius saw me halfway down it. He didn't blink at first. He stared like his mind was buffering, trying to load a reality he swore no longer existed. His lips stopped moving mid-vow. Naomi noticed the silence and followed his gaze. There I was, alive, present, unapologetic. Her smile faltered, a crack in the fairy tale. The officiant cleared his throat, assuming it was nerves. "Darius," he prompted gently, "you were saying—" But words don't come easy when ghosts walk in, holding legal documents. He forced out a laugh, loud, awkward, strained. Excuse me, folks," he said. "Just need a moment." He let go of Naomi's hands as if they were burning him now instead of anchoring him. He walked toward me, face tightening with every step. "What are you doing here?" he whispered through clenched teeth. "Witnessing the ceremony," I answered calmly. "Isn't that what guests are for?" "You weren't invited," he hissed. "You're right," I replied. "Legally, I should be standing up there with you." His breath hitched, the first fracture of panic. Naomi approached, confusion deepening. "Darius, who is this?" He lied without taking a breath. "She's my ex. She's not well. Just ignore her." There it was, the same script he used before, dismissing reality by questioning sanity. I smiled, not with warmth, with preparation. Tessa appeared behind me, phone in hand, not recording. "Just ready." "She's just trying to make a scene," he insisted louder so the crowd would hear. Whispers spread quickly. "Is she really his ex? She looks pretty stable to me. Why did she come here? Why does he seem scared?" Naomi's eyes narrowed. Fear was creeping in, but so was suspicion. "Darius," she said slowly, "why didn't you tell me your ex was alive?" Alive. Such an inconvenient state to be in when a man has buried you verbally. He swallowed. "She's obsessed. She's been stalking me for years. Just go back to the altar, baby." Stalking. Years. Good. Let the lie grow big. It only makes the fall louder. Naomi didn't move. "Darius," she repeated more sharply this time. "Why does she look like she belongs here?" He opened his mouth again, but no lie came fast enough. I leaned in close enough for only him to hear, "You told them I was crazy. Let's make sure they see who actually is." He shook his head slightly, a silent plea to stop. But pleas are useless when someone already tried to bury you. The officiant called out awkwardly, "Is everything all right?" "No." Everything was perfect. Darius turned to the guests, panic leaking through the suit he ironed for love. "I'll take care of this," he said, and reached for my arm. "Wrong move." I pulled back just enough to force his hand into the air. It looked like he was grabbing me violently. People gasped. Camera phones rose like spectators at a coliseum. Naomi stepped between us instinctively, protective, alert. "Don't touch her," she snapped at him. First fracture widened. Darius tried to smile, but fear was already rewriting his face. I didn't need to lift my voice. Power rarely needs volume. "I'll sit quietly," I told Naomi, "right after Darius tells the truth." She stared into my eyes, searching for madness, finding calm. She turned back to him, voice barely loud enough to carry. "What truth?" He stood frozen. He couldn't answer, not without unraveling his entire identity. And that silence, that struggling pause, was the first real proof that the villain wasn't the woman in the black dress. It was the groom who suddenly looked like he wanted to run. After that moment, I didn't need to speak. I simply stepped back and let the silence do the killing. I took a seat in the front row, the seat reserved for the groom's mother. It fit me better than any excuse he could invent. Naomi didn't return to the altar. She stood still as stone, eyes locked onto Darius like she was seeing him for the very first time. Everyone else watched him too, not with admiration now, but with suspicion. Darius tried to force a laugh. "We just need 5 minutes," he insisted, voice tightening around the lie. Naomi didn't move. "Tell me who she is," she demanded. Darius rubbed his forehead, searching for a story strong enough to erase my existence. "She's sick," he whispered urgently. "She lives in fantasies." I folded my hands neatly in my lap, eyes forward. Let them all look at me. They'd find nothing unhinged. Guests leaned toward one another. "She doesn't look sick." "She's sitting too calm to be crazy." "What isn't he saying?" Tessa stepped forward, arms folded, not letting a single lie escape unchallenged. "Funny thing about fantasies," she said. "They usually come with real paperwork." Darius shot her a warning glare. "A bad idea. People with nothing to hide don't need to scowl." Naomi glanced between us, pressure building behind her eyes. "You said your ex-wife died," she whispered. "Ex," Darius snapped. "We were never really married." That sentence landed perfectly. My silence became gravity. Everyone leaned closer, waiting for the truth to hit the floor. I rose slowly, not to argue, but to take a better seat. "When liars panic," I said calmly, "they try to rewrite history." Naomi looked at me, voice trembling. "Did you and Darius get married?" I didn't answer. Not yet. The moment wasn't ripe enough. Instead, I sat back down and crossed my legs. Let him sweat. Let him drown in his own story. The officiant cleared his throat. "Anxious. Perhaps we should postpone." "No." Naomi's voice cut through the air. She stepped closer to me. "You came here for a reason," she said. "Don't let him silence you again." Again. She said again. She understood. Darius reached for Naomi. She stepped away. Now he was alone in front of everyone, exactly where he had placed me when he called me crazy. He bit out each word. "She's lying. She's obsessed. She—" "Stop." Naomi's voice trembled, but it wasn't weak. "She said nothing. You said everything." Everyone stared at Darius, waiting for a scrap of truth. He had none. He looked at me then with a panic I had waited years to witness, and I just watched him, quiet, detached, powerful, because sometimes the most brutal revenge is letting a liar speak long enough to expose himself completely. He called me crazy. Now the whole room wondered what sane man invents a funeral for a living wife. The fracture wasn't just visible, it was spreading. Darius stood there with the world watching him and nowhere left to hide, and I could see the panic in his eyes as it finally dawned on him that this wasn't going away with a charm and a smile. Naomi moved closer to me now, Not out of trust yet, but out of a need for truth that Darius clearly wouldn't give her. Her voice shook, but her spine did not. "I deserve to know," she said. Darius tried to cut between us, but Tessa stepped in, blocking him like a bouncer fueled by righteous anger. He hissed under his breath, "You're embarrassing yourself." But Naomi didn't even look at him anymore. Her entire focus was on me. "Were you ever married to him?" she asked directly. I reached into my bag and pulled out the folder I had carried close to my heart for years, crisp and organized, a quiet record of a life he tried to erase. There was no theatrical pause, no victory smirk, just the simple handoff of documented truth. Naomi took the papers with trembling fingers. She opened the first page, a marriage license with both our names and signatures, still valid, stamped and sealed. A wave of whispers rippled through the room like a breeze in a cemetery. Naomi flipped to the next page. Joint tax returns, bank statements with our names intertwined, proof of a partnership he told everyone never existed. Her breaths grew shallow. "Why didn't you divorce her?" she demanded. Darius was sweating now, wiping his forehead as though that could erase accountability. She refused to sign. She was unstable. I had no choice. I stood, spoke calmly, and let the truth straighten itself. He never asked me to sign anything. He left and pretended the past didn't exist because it wasn't pretty enough for his future. Naomi stared at him, and the love she had carried for him shrank into something sharp and dangerous. "You lied to my face every day," she said, voice low but clear enough to echo. "You planned a wedding while you were still married." Guests began recording. Phones lifted like witnesses with perfect recall. There would be no rewriting this moment. The officiant backed away from the couple, hands raised, as if the ceremony itself had become a crime scene. Darius reached for Naomi's shoulders, desperation leaking into every move. "Baby, listen, she's twisting the story." Naomi stepped away from his touch as though it burned. "Don't call me baby, don't call me anything." He looked around the room for someone, anyone to defend him, but lies rarely build loyalty. He found only silence, tilted heads, judgment in every stare. I continued, voice steady. "You told everyone I was crazy because you knew how sane I actually was. Crazy is easy to dismiss. Truth is harder to escape." Naomi dropped the papers, and they scattered across the aisle like fallen confetti from a ruined celebration. "How long have you been lying to me?" she asked. He didn't answer. He couldn't. Time didn't matter anymore. His credibility had evaporated. Tessa stepped forward, adding the final blow. "She didn't show up here to fight. She showed up because he convinced the world she wasn't real." Darius finally snapped. "I was trying to move on. My life with her was over." I stepped closer, meeting his fear with clarity. Moving on requires closure. You chose concealment. Deceit is not moving forward. It's running backwards and hoping no one sees. His voice broke. "I didn't think you'd ever show up. And that," I said softly, "was your last mistake." Naomi's eyes filled with something heavier than tears. Disgust, betrayal, humiliation she didn't deserve. She walked back toward the altar, not to reunite with him, but to retrieve her bouquet. She held it tightly, petals wilting under her grip. "You humiliated me," she said quietly. "You humiliated her. You humiliated yourself." She turned to me, not for permission, but for power. "Would you like to do the honors?" she asked. I shook my head. "This truth belongs to you now." Naomi walked up to Darius in front of everyone and threw the bouquet at his chest. It hit with a dull thud before falling at his feet like a verdict. "We are done," she said. "You are done." His mouth opened to beg, but his voice was gone. The audience watched a groom become a ghost of a man still breathing. There was no applause, only the sound of everything he built crumbling without even a crash, just the quiet ruin of credibility. I had shown up with proof, and now the proof was walking away from him in a wedding dress. The moment Naomi stormed out of that ceremony, I did not follow. I stayed. I sat in the front row, legs crossed, watching Darius drown in a silence he could no longer spin into sympathy. The officiant signaled for the music to stop. Half the guests shut off their phones. The other half kept recording, hungry for the downfall of a liar. Darius stood alone at the altar. Tuxedo perfect, while the truth shredded him in public. He looked at me like I was the monster. He forgot he created me. "Leave," he hissed under his breath. "No," I said. "You brought me here the moment you told them I died." He tried to straighten his suit jacket like fabric could fix reputation. His voice rose, cracking under pressure. "You ruined everything." I stood slowly, walked closer, heels striking the floor like a countdown. "I didn't ruin your wedding," I said. "You did when you scheduled one while still married." Gasps, stifled laughter. People enjoyed seeing a hypocrite choke on his own vows. Naomi reappeared at the back of the hall, not alone. Beside her were her parents, investors, donors, people Darius desperately needed to impress. Her father looked at him like a stain. "You lied to our family," he said. "You lied to everyone here." Darius opened his mouth and humiliation poured out instead of words. He turned back to me. "Just leave." I smiled, sharp, victorious, merciless. "No, you don't get to dismiss the living after burying them with lies." Naomi marched to the stage, grabbed the microphone, and ripped the mask off publicly. "This man is not a groom," she announced. "He's a fraud who tried to marry me while his first wife was at home, breathing, existing, and carrying the last name he never legally let go of." Applause thundered. Not celebration, punishment. Darius stumbled backward, face draining of color. His pastor approached him, eyes heavy with disgust. "You need to leave, son," he said. "When the church tells you to go, you have sinned in ways the Bible doesn't approve of." Darius tried to reach Naomi again. She recoiled like he was diseased. "Don't touch me," she warned. "Don't ever touch me again." He switched targets, turned to me as if I might save him. "You win. Are you happy now?" I stepped close enough for only him to hear. "I don't want your happiness. I want your consequences." His jaw clenched. "What do you want from me?" "Everything you thought you would never have to pay for." He swallowed. "This isn't justice. This is revenge." "It's both," I replied, "and you earned every drop of it." Naomi's mother took her daughter by the arm. "We're pressing charges," she said. "Bigamy, fraud, emotional abuse." Darius staggered. "Please, let's talk." Her father cut him off. "You talk to lawyers now." Security escorted him toward the exit, the groom thrown out of his own wedding. His reflection in the glass doors was the last image he saw before falling out of the perfect life he tried to counterfeit. I watched him go, head bowed, future collapsing beneath his feet. He turned one last time, voice trembling. "Why couldn't you just disappear?" "Because I survived you," I said. He left, and the room applauded again, for me. Darius didn't just lose a wedding that day. He lost the version of himself he spent years lying into existence. News travels slowly in kindness, quickly in shame. That night, the wedding disaster hit every guest's social feed like wildfire. Clips of Naomi exposing him, screenshots of our marriage license, images of him being escorted out. The internet loves a downfall, and it loves a liar to blame even more. His co-workers saw the posts. HR called him at dawn. He was terminated by noon. Reason given: integrity concerns. He tried to spin a story online about a vindictive ex that backfired beautifully. Thousands of comments roasted him alive. "You buried your wife and forgot to dig a legal hole." "She's the sane one, you're the clown." "Alexa, play When You Try to Cheat the System." Every insult was a shovel. He taught the world how to bury him properly. Meanwhile, Naomi was done crying. She was planning. She sent me a message. Thank you for saving me before vows became chains. Her parents' legal team filed charges: bigamy, fraud, identity deception. A judge issued a warrant. A sheriff delivered reality to his apartment door. He called me that night. My number was blocked, but desperation finds pathways. Unknown. Caller, I answered. Silence first, then his breath. Please, he whispered. Help me. I didn't hesitate. No. I'm losing everything, he choked. That's the first honest sentence you've spoken, I said. He tried one more tactic. Guilt. You used to love me. No, I corrected him. I used to believe you deserved love. Turns out you only deserved exposure. He begged. I listened. Not out of compassion, out of satisfaction. He finally said it. I'm sorry. Too late. Apologies don't resurrect respect. They eulogize it. I hung up without another word. He texted Naomi next. One message. I made a mistake. Her reply was venomous clarity. You are the mistake. He spiraled, showing up at her parents' gate, calling Tessa's phone until she blocked him too, posting a pathetic video online claiming victimhood. Comments tore him apart. Should have died with the lie. Imagine calling her crazy. He married a fairy tale while hiding a horror story. He deleted the video, but screenshots never die. Soon his landlord served eviction papers. His car got repossessed. His friends left him on read. He wanted a life where I didn't exist. Now he had nothing else that did. One afternoon, Tessa and I sat on my couch, scrolling through the chaos he created. Should we feel bad, she asked. No, I said, sipping my tea. I feel something better. What? Finally respected. Naomi requested a meeting, not with him, with me. She arrived in jeans and fury, handing me a folder filled with police reports and lawyer correspondence. You deserve to keep the wedding dress, I told her. Hang it as a reminder. She smiled with teeth this time. Of my near miss with a snake? No, I replied. Of your victory over one. We clinked glasses. A toast to survival over stupidity. Darius once convinced everyone I was unstable. Now he was the man screaming into voicemails begging ghosts for comfort. He convinced everyone I was dead. Now he lived a life where I walked freely and he was forgotten. He built his future on a lie. I bulldozed the foundation with the truth. Justice isn't always balanced. Sometimes it leans aggressively toward the side that fought hardest to be heard. And I fought, quietly, intelligently, patiently. The world didn't owe me sympathy. It owed me witnesses. Now it had millions. Darius disappeared offline after that. Not by choice, but because humiliation was trending and his name was the headline. He used to call me unhinged. Funny. Now he was the one looking for walls to hold him up. The courtroom smelled like polished wood and consequences. Darius sat at the defendant's table, suit wrinkled, face pale, hands clasped like a man praying to a god he abandoned long ago. He had no ring on his finger now, not because he removed it, but because lies don't come with jewelry returns. Naomi entered with her head high. I followed, the weight of truth steady in my stride. He looked up when he heard our heels, and his eyes dropped immediately. Good. Shame should be experienced with lowered gaze. The judge scanned the documents. My name, his name, dates, signatures, proof that our marriage was real, proof that his new one would have been a crime. You attempted to enter a second marriage while your first was still legally intact, the judge said. That is not a misunderstanding, Mr. Carter. That is intentional deception. Darius swallowed hard. His voice cracked like thin ice. I thought she was gone, he muttered. Gone. That one word was gasoline. You told everyone I was crazy, I said, standing without permission. You told them I was dead. Convenient stories to bury a woman who knew too much truth about who you really are. The judge didn't stop me. Some speeches serve justice better than gavels. Darius tried to defend himself. She's twisting everything. I was trying to protect my new life. From what? I cut in. From the woman who paid your rent? From the woman who put food in your fridge? From the woman who bought the suit you're wearing to court? Naomi smirked. The courtroom murmured, and Darius shrank smaller. You dragged my name through mud, I continued, just to wash your own reputation clean, but mud sticks to the dirtiest hands first. The judge raised a document. Financial fraud is also on this record, using your wife's information to maintain your lifestyle. I watched his mask peel away. No more charming man, just a coward cornered by truth. Naomi stood next. You promised me a future, she said, voice cold as January. Instead, you dragged me into a lie so deep I almost choked on it. I hope this is the last time I ever have to look at you. He blinked rapidly. Naomi, listen. No, she said. You listen. You're going to walk out of here alone, and that's not revenge. That's karma. The judge stamped the papers. Heavy. Final. You are hereby charged, he said, with fraud and attempted bigamy. Sentencing will be determined shortly. Darius looked at me one more time. Desperation hollowing his features. Why? He asked, barely audible. Why couldn't you just let it go? I leaned in close enough that only he could hear, because I survived the grave you tried to bury me in. His breath caught. His shoulders fell. And that was the moment, the exact second. He understood. He didn't just lose. He was destroyed. The bailiff took his arm. He didn't resist. Defiance had left him along with dignity. As he was led out, he turned back once, hoping to see a hint of mercy. He saw none. He gave me a death in his story. I returned it in real life. Darius didn't go to prison. But the sentence he received was worse because it followed him into every waking moment. He lost his job. He lost his friends. He lost the wedding that was supposed to fix his image. Now he couldn't even fix his own mess. No one hires a man whose search results scream, married groom exposed at church, lied about dead wife for years, caught attempting bigamy. When the internet is your jury, you get convicted every day. Naomi's family sued him into dust. He owed damages so high he couldn't afford his own excuses anymore. He tried renting a room from a college acquaintance. They revoked the offer. No one wants a scandal sleeping in the next room. He ended up in a budget motel with peeling wallpaper and silence too loud for a mind full of failure. Meanwhile, I was finally free. Free of his voice, free of his lies, free of his name that I filed paperwork to erase forever. I walked into the county clerk's office and signed the divorce papers myself. Darius wasn't present. He wasn't needed. The clerk stamped the document and pushed it back to me. I'm sorry for what you went through, she said. I smiled. I'm not. Power tastes clean when you earn it, drop by drop. Later that week, I attended a charity gala with Naomi and Tessa. We walked in together, 3 women sharper than any rumor. Whispers floated through the ballroom. There she is, the one who shut him down. That groom picked the wrong grave to dig. She looks like she never lost a minute of sleep. Correct? While we enjoyed champagne poured over success, Darius was dialing my number again. Blocked. Always. He left voicemails anyway. You've ruined my life. You were supposed to help me. Don't you remember what we had? I remembered perfectly. That's why I destroyed it. Naomi sent me updates out of pure spiteful joy. His car got repossessed. He sold his watch collection. He's applying for fast food jobs. Even desperation requires references. He had none. The best part? His own mother cut him off when she learned how he used me as a weapon. I raised you better, she yelled. You made me the mother of a monster. Finally, the correct narrative. I didn't shield him anymore. He could choke on his reputation without me giving him air. One afternoon, Darius stood outside my gate, thin, unshaven, hands gripping the bars like a convict begging for a retrial. I need help, he said. His voice was barely human anymore. You need consequences, I replied. Please, I'm sorry, I'll do anything. No, you'll do nothing, I said. You lost the right to ask anything of me. He stared at me with a hollow kind of grief. You're enjoying this, he accused. I leaned in closer, voice calm and cleaner than honesty. I'm enjoying being alive without you. His shoulders shook. Rage, shame, regret, all fighting for control. Tell people I'm not a bad person, he begged. They already know the truth, I said, and I won't interfere with that. He punched the gate once, a pathetic attempt at a man he could no longer pretend to be. Security walked him to the curb. He didn't fight. Cowards never fight for what they destroyed. As he walked away, I called after him. You said I was dead. You should have treated me like I could rise. He didn't turn back. He didn't dare. He had nothing left to resurrect. He once told the world I had lost my mind. Now the world lost all respect for him. Darius vanished from society the way cowards do. Not dramatically, just quietly slipping into the cracks where people hide shame they earned. I never had to check on him. Consequences keep their own attendance. I upgraded my life, new neighborhood, better house, a garden blooming without apology, people who visit because they respect me, not because they pity me. And I did it without burying anyone alive. Naomi visits often, each time a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more dangerous to men who underestimate her. The three of us, Naomi, Tessa, and I, make a habit of celebrating survival with laughter that used to be tears. We have a rule. We only speak his name when we are grateful he is gone. Sometimes, I look at the woman I was, the one he labeled hysterical, the one he dismissed, the one he left behind like trash no one would miss. And I thank her for staying alive long enough to witness the justice she deserved. One afternoon, I received mail addressed to Mrs. Darius Carter. I smiled and sent it back. Return to sender deceased relationship. Because that name died with his lies. And I never kept souvenirs of failure. I didn't forgive him. Forgiveness is a gift you give to someone whose regret means something. His apology arrived long after his importance expired. Letting him go wasn't healing. It was evolution. I didn't survive him. I defeated him. He called me crazy. I called him accountable. And one of us walked away whole. It wasn't him. 5 years later, I no longer remember the sound of his lies, only the echo of my own footsteps walking away from them. My life is cleaner now, sharper, designed by a woman who decided that survival wasn't enough. I wanted dominance. My new home has art. I chose myself, flowers that bloom where I planted them, and evenings filled with voices that don't question my sanity. Tessa brings over wine on Fridays. Naomi brings her freedom. Together, we laugh about a wedding that never became a marriage. Sometimes we toast to Darius, not as a memory, but as a warning. Never let a liar write your story. No one asks me if I forgave him. Why would a queen forgive a servant who betrayed the throne? He lives somewhere quiet now, a ghost among people who don't know his name or care enough to ask. You see, he buried me in lies. I buried him in truth. And only one of us rose again. I walk with my head high because I returned to life without needing permission to breathe. Victory isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like peace in a house that finally feels like mine. Sometimes it sounds like silence where a coward's voice used to be. Sometimes it feels like power restored to the woman who earned it. I am not the crazy ex. I am the one who survived. And he is the one who couldn't handle a living woman. That's his legacy and my liberation. What would you have done if someone told the world you were crazy just to erase you? Would you disappear quietly or show up with proof like I did? Tell me in the comments, because your story deserves to be told too. And if you have ever been lied about, dismissed, or underestimated, this story belongs to you,